Welcome to the Millionaire MINDCAST, where we broadcast weekly interviews with millionaire minds from across the globe to empower you on your journey of unlocking a rich and fulfilling life. It's time to unleash your millionaire within. Now, here's your host, Matty A.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Millionaire MINDCAST, the show that focuses on all things mindset, money, and motivation to help you increase your income, impact, and influence. As always, I'm your host, Matty A, and I'm excited to be bringing another great millionaire worth modeling after onto the show this week to share their wisdom and their experiences and their knowledge with us, with you. And today's episode is a great one. I was actually introduced to this individual by a mutual friend. He goes, you know, Matty, you've had a lot of amazing, intelligent, successful individuals on the show, and I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that Troy McClain is going to be one of the best interviews that you do. And I was like, man, we've had some epic guests on this show who have dropped some straight pearls and wisdom bombs. But today's interview might just be one of those interviews that goes to being one of our top episodes, because Troy really brought, he was just a great conversation. He brought a lot to the table, a lot of wisdom, a very cool perspective on life. He had a very poverty-stricken childhood and used those adversities as inspiration and as an advantage and really for leverage to propel him into this prosperous and profitable life moving forward. After he was on The Apprentice, he went on to start many successful 7-figure year in and year out companies, has really mastered his craft, and he's very big into the personal development space, motivational speaker, has, for someone being in the personal development space, there can be a lot of regurgitated and reused content over and over again. And Troy just had this very charismatic way of positioning words and how he used them to get his point across. So a very high-level thinker, high-level leader, and just has a great approach to life. One of the things I really appreciated that we talked about was his 365% better strategy each and every year, which he kind of goes into that a little bit. And when I first connected with him, if you want to talk about having a great extension of your brand or representation of your brand, his executive assistant, Miss Sally, was the one who set us up and coordinated everything. And Miss Sally was one of the most professional, articulate, polished business professionals that I've ever had the chance to have a professional exchange with. And to give you a little background on her, one, he shares the importance of why he went after her and how important she's been to his growth and his business in general. But she was a former secretary of Bob Hope. She worked in the White House. So that shows you what kind of talent Troy McClain is to be able to track that kind of individual into his organization. So a lot of great wisdom shared in this episode. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys dive in. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet for more interviews, episodes, content, which we're going to be kicking up this year, be sure to subscribe so you get notified every time we drop a new video. It's going to be around mindset, money, and motivation, and we will be putting that out on a weekly basis. So like the video. If you got something great from it, leave a comment so Troy can reach back out and share his thoughts. If you got anything you want to leave for him, do so below. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the interview with Troy McClain. Well, I'm excited to welcome to the show Mr. Troy McClain. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine as frog hair, which means terrific, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. I honor and respect everything you've been doing. You're setting examples for all of us, so I love it.
Hey, brother, I'm just trying to keep up with you, man. I got a ways to go, so I got to start somewhere, right?
That's true. That's true.
So where are you coming to us from today?
So today I'm coming to you from Boise, Idaho, by a long route. I was born in Alaska. I was raised in Montana. I graduated high school in Spokane, Washington. And then I moved to Boise, Idaho, 18 years now. And I've been here ever since and loving it right now, even though it's -4.
I was going to say, you guys are getting like a freeze right now, aren't you?
Yeah, we're getting hammered a little bit, but that's okay. I really do believe in the change of seasons, not just physically, but emotionally. And I learned to accept those units of time. There's no good news or bad news. There's no good weather or bad weather. There's just news and weather.
I love it, man. You are a literal man, I can tell.
I like it.
So I just gotta give a shout out to Miss Sally, because we were just having a conversation here a few seconds ago, and I was running a little bit behind and scrambling from one interview to the next, and Troy was patiently waiting, and I get a call from this number. I'm like, who is calling me from Boise, Idaho? And I pick up the phone, and it's just this angelic voice of this woman going, "Hello, Mr. Aitchison, this is Sally. I work with Troy McClain, and we just don't have the link yet, and I just wanted to know if you're going to be sending that over so we can get him dialed in." She called me back a couple times, working back and forth with our staff, and she was just amazing. And then I asked you the question about Miss Sally.
Yeah.
Give me a little background on her. How the heck did you score Miss Sally, and what's her background?
You bet. Well, first of all, you've learned this just like I have, that you want to have an executive assistant. You want to have yourself a staff, because we can't do everything at once. And
Yep.
Probably the most valuable investment I made was in myself. And I invested in myself to surround myself with people that are good at things that I need to practice at, that are better at things that I'm just good at. And Miss Sally is one of those. She's forever 29. Like when you hear her on the phone, you literally just hear happiness.
Yep.
Just pure happiness.
Yep.
She represents the brand across, but she's forever 29. Her first gig was, she was the executive assistant to Bob Hope. Some of us on the podcast may not even know who Bob Hope is, but that'll take you back a little ways. Then she did a stint with a gentleman named Steven Seagal, who some of you on the podcast may not know who that is either. And then she ended up in the White House. And so Sally was in the White House with Secretary of Interior Dirk Kempthorne, and ran with a crowd of people that I call the mastermind of the masterminds. And you can just garner that knowledge. And her and I met while working on the Special Olympics, World Winter Games. And I thought to myself, I got to have a Sally. I just got to have a Sally, because she's in the know. She practices proper etiquette, and she always represents your brand on and off what I call the proverbial mat of life. So she represents your brand in and out of the office. When she's out, she's always talking about me. When she's in the office, she's always holding a higher bar standard. What I've learned with her is she doesn't set the bar. She is the bar.
Yeah, she's amazing, man. So I wanted to give her a shout out before we dive in. And you know
I
what? That
appreciate that.
volumes about you, Troy, being able to attract talent at that level.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know you, brother, why don't you back up a little bit and give us an idea of how you've become so well known, and also, you know, obviously before you even became well known, you were having insane success. So I want to dive into that and give our listeners an idea of, you know, where you started, now where you're at today, and what you're up to.
You bet. I appreciate the opportunity as well. What I've learned is I'm a forever learner. And I also learned that, you know what, like I've told you before, I've never had bad experiences. I've never had good experiences. I've just had amazing experiences that taught me or teach me or give me good love or good lessons. I was born in Anchorage, Alaska. I don't have the typical pedigree that most people would think, although I do tell people I got a PhD. But I was born in Anchorage, Alaska in 1971. My father was a nomadic construction worker, and my mama was an angel on earth. My mom stands about 2 bolts taller than 5 foot. She's got an 8th grade education in motherhood. And my mom was a legitimate bouncer of a bar and a truck driver. And God bless my father. He went off and started his own life, his own family. And hey, that's great. He went ahead and did what he had to do. But Mom, she kept us together. It was me and my 2 sisters. My youngest sister is developmentally delayed. She's profoundly deaf and developmentally delayed. The old diagnosis, they said, was mental retardation, but we just didn't accept that. And my mom said, you know what? That little girl right there, she's going to teach us a lot. My mom, what can that girl teach us? Because I believed at that time in the social influences where people would go, well, she can't teach you anything. She's not going to do anything. The greatest teachers I've ever had in my life are those that are from beyond the obvious, is what I say. So born in Alaska, bouncing around from home to home, job to job, and bar to bar, my mom being a truck driver and a bouncer, I ended up going to 7 different high schools, 7 different high schools. Ultimately, along the way in between my success cycles, which I want your audience to pay attention to that. One of the things I say is Dateline highlighted my story in 2004, and Dateline talked about my mom. They talked about me. They talked about how they used the word that we were impoverished. They used the word the deplorable conditions that we lived in. And I went from poverty to profit, not because of anything but mindset. It was all mindset. My mom would look at me and she would say, Troy, I got some great news. My mom, what's the great news? She goes, you're too big for this house. What do you mean I'm too big for this house? She goes, you're just too big for it. You're meant to do great things and you're going to go on and do great things. But this house is holding us back. Well, about every 9 months, my mom would come and tell me this. And I'd ask her, what are we going to do about it? You know what we're going to do about it? We're going to upgrade houses. And so we would, in my mind, upgrade houses. The first time I got introduced to the reality of what was happening is when I was at one of my high schools. Somebody came up to me. I was telling the story about upgrading houses. I'm like, man, I'm always meant to do great things, and my mom keeps upgrading houses. Now, I had a gentleman come up to me and said, you're not upgrading, you're being evicted. My dad is your landlord. You guys don't pay your bills. And I thought, oh my God, is that true? Is that true that we don't have money? Is it true that we're broke? And I rode home on my bike that day and I talked to my mom. I said, Mom, what's going on? You keep telling me I'm meant to do great things. You keep telling me that we're upgrading houses. And she looked at me and she said, son, here's the deal. Your mom's got an 8th grade education in motherhood. Your mom's a bouncer of a bar and a truck driver. If I were to tell you what their truth is you talk with twangs, you walk with the boot, and your mom's nothing but a dropout and your kid's sister's mentally delayed. If you're going to believe in their truth, you ain't going anywhere. What I want you to do is believe in my truth. My truth, it looks beyond the obvious. My truth is you are meant to do great things. You are a genius. And yeah, we may be upgrading houses by somebody else's design, but all we are, we're in between success cycles. And her perspective on looking at adversity was so different to anyone else's. And I was like, oh yeah, we are just upgrading houses. Why do I have to use the word evicted? Why don't I have to use that I just voluntarily upgraded my house? And that took that into my business career, leading with my kid's sister, leading with my mom's philosophies, and leading with the best way to get ahead was to give back. I ultimately built up a multi-million-dollar organization. I started out in the world that you're in, which was real estate. I started out into the real estate world. And then today I do coaching, mentoring, and public speaking. And for me, it's been a grand adventure that has a bunch of news, and some are better news and some are great news, but there's no bad news at all.
I love what you said about, so I mean, there was a lot of brilliance in there, but the difference between your truth and someone else's truth.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people let others, feelings or thoughts or judgments or their realities become their own. How were you able, besides from what your mom was telling you at that point in time, to just block that out and stay laser focused on where you were going?
It all comes down to the mindset. And I can't tell you guys that I'm perfect. First, I'll tell everybody that I ever meet, I'm a fallible guy. I make mistakes. I'm a practitioner towards greatness. I'm not great yet. I decided I wanted to be a 1%er. I started to read on the 1% of America, the 1% of the world's wealth. And if I could right now, with every one of you listeners that are out there, teach you to be a 1%er, you would want to do it, right? Of course you would. Well, you can. You just got to look beyond the obvious. And so I choose to be a 1%er. But that's a 1%er in my truth. In my truth, I try to be 1% better every single day. 1% better off my baseline. If simple country math says I'm 1% better every day, in 365 days, I'm going to be 365% better at one individual task, whether it's with my relationship with my family, with my lovely bride, with my sister, with my work ethics, with my studies, or with my business. I just need to be 1% better. I don't need to be 100%. And that was the biggest paradigm shift for me. When you ask the question, well, Troy, how did you adopt these theories? How did you get into this aside from your mom? How did you learn this? I learned that I had to manage my expectations. And instead of being 100% better after somebody taught me something, I just said, I only need to be 1% on that particular topic. And then 1%, 1%, 1%. Now, we all know what's called compounding. And so simple math moves into compounding. If I'm 1% better today and I'm 1% better tomorrow, I'm 2% better. Well, then I'm 4% better. Well, then I'm 8% better. Each day it just compounds. So in fact, each and every one of you can be a 1%er. By listening to you, Matt, Quite honestly, I've watched a lot of your stuff. I love what you talk about giving back. The best way to get ahead is to give back. But you don't have to do it all the time the way you and I do it. You can give back by giving a smile. You can give back by giving a compliment. You can give back by just giving, not a hand out, but a leg up. And that's so important, to be 1% better every day. And so when somebody asks you what class you're in, I just started telling people I'm in the 1% class.
I love that, man. And you know what? As many people want to select into that class, a lot of them aren't necessarily willing to put in the work and do it consistently and intentionally every single day. So for those people that just raise their hand and go, yep, I want to live that 1% lifestyle, and yet, you know, all the people starting out New Year's resolutions, 2 weeks later, they're back to the norm, right? What is it? Is it something neurologically? Is it, you know, the environment? What do you see with the people you coach and mentor being one of their biggest obstacles, maybe in their mindset or physically, that they need to overcome in order to step into that, you know, space where they can become a 1%er?
You know, that's a great question, because here we are, we're in January. And like you said, everybody makes New Year's resolutions. Everybody says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then they fall off. What do we have? We have like a 95% failure rate in New Year's resolutions. Everybody says they want to be the greatest. They just don't want to do the work to get there. I think the first thing is managing expectations. You have to manage your expectations. I love this. Now, I'm not preaching or teaching here, but I'm just, for me, the way that I believe is, I believe that God is up there. I believe, man, I answer to the big man. Now, that's for me. And I'll talk to some people, and I'll ask them, well, do you want to go to heaven? And they go, yeah. And I go, great. All you got to do is die. I don't want to die. There's only one way in. Everyone wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die to get there. Well, everybody wants to be successful, but nobody wants to do the work to get there. You need to know your why. You absolutely need to know your why. But I heard an amazing quote the other day. Every great why deserves a wonderful how. So you got to know how. Once you know your why, you got to complement it with a wonderful how. And how you do that is you manage expectations, you set your goals, and you get rid of your distractions. So I believe in masterminding. I truly, truly believe this. Matt, success leaves tracks. You're a successful guy. Why would I not follow your tracks? I'm a hunter. I'm a fisherman. I'm an outdoorsman. I know about tracking. So what I want to do is I want to follow a guy like you. I want to follow those tracks. Who do you listen to? You listen to those who have been where you are and are where you want to go. That's the best answer to who do you listen to. You want to listen if you've been like me, if you've had your PhD, which is poor, hungry, and driven, and now you're working on your MBA, your massive bank account, and you have been evicted out of houses, you have a single mom who was a 3-time recovering drug addict, you come from poverty and you went to profit, and you want to know, does that guy relate to me? Does that guy understand my pains and my woes? Yes. But you also want to know that I made it through the crucible, and I'm here to tell you on the other side. I was watching one of your video, Matt, and I appreciate your honesty. You said, I'm losing money on this one house. You're probably going to lose $10,000 to $30,000. Great news. To me, that's great news. You want to know why? That's your investment in your higher education.
Yep.
Not your schooling. Just because you, me, or anybody else didn't pay tuition doesn't mean we stop paying attention. You still have to pay for that attention. Now, you went to university, and that's awesome. Those that did go to university, just because you got your tuition gives you no permission to stop paying attention.
Yep. Yeah, you know, and just by being in the game too, I think, you know, getting in the mindset that nobody bats 1,000, right? Babe Ruth, one of the best, you know, long ball hitters of all time. The dude didn't bat 1,000, but he got up to the plate and he was in the game. He was in the batter's box. He had the bat in his hand. He was equipped and at least putting himself in a situation where he could swing. Maybe he would strike out, but every time he got back in there, he had the opportunity to hit that home run or that grand slam. And so that's why I look at those kind of opportunities of going, you know what, of all of the great wins and base hits and home runs that I've been fortunate to have hit, I'm going to get a strikeout every once in a while. And that's okay. Cause like you said, I learned a lot on that deal. You better, Dan, believe I ain't going to make that same mistake again.
and you have tenacity. So the block is to get past the fact that entrepreneurs don't fail. What we do is we fail up. We don't fall down. But in fact, we do fail. We just fail up. We have the grind. We have the grit. I told one of my students, I said, here's, how much money do you have? And he goes, I got $1,000. I said, if I gave you 70-30 odds in Vegas, would you take the $1,000 and roll the roulette wheel? And he's like, oh, for sure I would. I go, wonderful. Let's just simulate that. So come roll the wheel, but your first 30% is going to be all your losses. And then on the fourth roll to the 10th roll is all your wins. He's like, I couldn't stand seeing me lose $300 right out of the gate. We have to understand it's a percentage game on the life of the career of an entrepreneur, not on the single transaction.
Right.
So if you open out of the gate and you had a bad flip, you had bad advice, you made an investment and it didn't work, that's not permission to quit. And you didn't give enough basis for the statistical averages to work themselves out. You got to keep digging for gold. You got to find the moment and find the lesson. There is no mistakes. There's just life lessons. You've had life lessons. I've had life lessons. What we both did is we became entrepreneurs. We didn't become want-to-be-preneurs. We didn't bank on if-come. We banked on income. If-come is, well, if I do this, then this would happen. And if I do this, well, then that might happen. But if I do this, oh, God, I'd lose everything. Until I can cash if-come, or write if-come off on my IRS tax returns, it ain't worth a shit to me. Oh, sorry. It ain't worth a crap.
You're good, man. We can edit out, or actually, you know what? We just let people roll. So,
all right. Well, I apologize. It just ain't worth a crap to me, you guys. If-come means nothing. I want income. Income based on investment. Investment based on great advice will decide great decisions. And great decisions are based off of great advice. Where do I get that from? I get that from leaders like you. I'm 47. How young are you, Matt?
28.
I'm 47. You're 28. And somebody's going to say, why did you listen to that guy? Are you kidding me? He's been where I am and he's where I want to be. I don't judge his age. I judge his attitude and his aptitude. Now, you have a lot of things to teach me, a ton. I have a few things to show myself. That collective mindset raises the collective bar of the energy and of the synergy around us. And so you create a mastermind. You create like, hey, what's going on with you? But it's candid. It's honest conversation. Hey, I've been in that situation where I've lost this or lost that. Let me tell you what I did. And you go, crap, that makes sense. But I might come to you going, what's going on in your area and how does it work? And you're going, Troy, here's what I discovered because I'm 28 and I went to college here and they showed me about marketing. I go, God, I haven't seen that. Tell me how it works. And we create this collective mindset. Because if we all do that, Matt, if all of us really become what our destiny is designed to be, and we become the architect of our own destiny, there won't be poverty. There won't be crime. There won't be anything but love. It won't be this political left and right. It'll be a collective whole so that my world, that is your world, is a safer place to live.
Yep. Brilliantly said. I always say I'm a student of life and I'm always looking for my next teacher. And that could be, honestly, the bum sitting right outside on the street right now who just shows me some generosity and love that day, no matter what he's gone through. Or it could be, an individual like yourself that I'm fortunate enough to come on and write pages of notes on while I get to share your, knowledge and experiences and wisdom with hundreds and thousands of other people around the world and the country.
Awesome.
Some of your greatest teachers, who have those been for you?
Some of my greatest teachers across the span have existed since before time and existed since before I was born. You have to remember, leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. And there's so much information out there, from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, to Dale Carnegie, to Andrew Carnegie, to Henry Ford. Start with your classics. I'm not the most successful reader because I have what they call dyslexia, and I have a hard time reading. But what I would do is just force myself through it until it became habit forming. So greatest teachers in life are my mom. Greatest teachers in life are my kid sister, who is of special needs and a special Olympian, but she teaches me how to love. She teaches me how to forgive. My mom would say to me, my sister is profoundly deaf, so I sign all the time when I talk about my sister, Dorlyn McLean, and she's the love of my life, and so she just makes the world go round. But for me, my mom pointed at her one day, and she goes, what do you think about her being deaf? Do you think she can't hear you? And I'm like, well, of course she can't hear me, Mom, because she's deaf. And she's like, Troy, you fool. Who said you had to listen with your ears when you can hear with your heart? And those lessons, those nuggets of gold are where you take. So you can get a lesson from a bum on the street, like you said. But my greatest teachers, Napoleon Hill, my mother, James Allen. James Allen wrote a book, As a Man Thinketh. My greatest teachers are my kid sister. My greatest teachers, I love Viktor Frankl, very existential, the meaning of life. But my greatest teachers have yet to be discovered in this new unit of time. I may be looking at my greatest teacher for today, and then tomorrow I'm going to find another one. It forever evolves because we're in units of time that just change. My greatest teachers in the 20s would not be great teachers for me in my 40s. Right. My greatest teachers for me in my 50s have not yet transpired and come to light yet. They could just be right there.
I think a lot of that goes back to awareness too, right? I think this whole trend of elevating consciousness of humanity and people are becoming a lot more aware of what's going on around them now. And maybe it's, a bunch of variables come to mind, right? With this access to information and all the technology that's available, but people are becoming more aware. And by being intentional and aware and present in those moments, you are able to really connect and engage with those teaching opportunities, right?
So true. We have more information and more data than ever before because we have what's called the internet. We have smartphones. Smartphones doesn't mean they think for you, though. They're tools. We are the architect of our own destiny. We control the tool. It's how we use it. How many of us are educating ourselves and looking up the Warren Buffetts of the world, the Donald Trumps of the world, the Carlos Sims? How many of us are looking up these great leaders from the past and discerning the information for our future? Yeah. Here's what I will tell a lot of you. It's back to my 1%er. You don't have to be 100% better today. You just have to make a commitment to be 1% better per day. So go as far as you can see until you can see further. I've heard a great man say that. I've heard organizations say, go as far as you can see until you can see further. But don't wait for the city lights of your success to show up and say, well, I don't see it, so I can't make it. In your GPS, when you program it from Boise, Idaho to LA, I can't see LA. I can only see so many feet in front of me. But I still believe in my GPS. Discover your GPS. Is your GPS Troy McLean? Is your GPS Matt? Is your GPS this person or that person? Pick your GPS down that path and follow it. Because who do you listen to? You listen to those who've been where you are and are where you want to be. And then you go as far as you can see until you can see further. And that, boom, success leaves tracks. Follow them.
It's great. I was thinking about what you said about implementing habits and having some new habits and changing habits. What have been some of your most critical habits that you rely back on when you're having a bad day or something is not going the way you want it to be, knowing that you have those habits and disciplines as kind of your framework to keep you on track? What are those?
Yeah, great question and great comment. For those that are listening, if we don't implement habits, we all have habits. We have addictive habits. We have overworked habits. We have habits that are beneficial to us and habits that aren't beneficial to us. We really want to focus in the three areas: health, wealth, and happiness. Health, wealth, and happiness. We want to have abundance in all of those, but we have to form positive habits to get there. I fall short on my healthy habits sometimes. And so I surround myself with people that help get me on my track, but not on my diet, because a diet yo-yos up and down, on my lifestyle track. The habits that I form is I try to do a major activity the very first thing when I wake up in the morning. One major activity. I don't want to major in the minors. I don't want to get up and turn the TV on right away. Because that just creates what my buddy Coach Peter Sutton says. That just creates a hypnotic drift, and all of a sudden you're drifting into laziness. You're drifting into just complacency. So the people that get up in the morning, the first thing they do is click on the TV, they jump in the shower, and then they start go answering emails right away. Form a major habit before you start a minor action. Otherwise, you end up majoring in the minors. A minor action is checking emails. A minor action is brushing your teeth. A major action is getting up in the morning and reading off your affirmations. What do you appreciate? I give my blessings every day. I appreciate my beautiful bride of 17 years. I appreciate the fact that my sister is alive, healthy, and well. I appreciate that we have a roof over our head. I get up and I'll do my brisk walk in the morning. It's freezing right now. It's -4 degrees. But I still get up and I go, you know what? I'm just going to do my walk to get my thoughts right. I don't check an email. I don't jump in the shower right away. I'm not trying to impress anybody in the mornings. Some people have asked me, like, what about the boogeyman? And I asked my friend Ed Foreman, who's a 2-time congressman. He goes, Troy, I promise you this. The boogeyman doesn't get up early in the morning, and he's not out late at night in the woods. So just get out there and enjoy life. So I just developed a habit of taking care of myself first so that I can properly give back to others. Then I'll get into my routine. The next habit that I try to do, and I try to be I'm a practitioner towards greatness. I'm not great yet. I try to consume energy. I consume energy in forms of vegetables, fruits, in forms of real whole foods. I try to consume that energy right away. Do I fall off track every once in a while? Sure, I do. But I get myself back on track. Then I try to consume energy. That's why I like morning podcasts, because I'm feeling your energy. I'm feeling your enthusiasm. But most importantly, what I'm feeling is your appreciation, and you're listening, you're there. And I go, the more you listen, the more it brings out in me. And so you're giving the gift of reciprocity. But I surround myself with positive energy. So then when the rest of the day hits, if somebody wants to take a deposit out of my emotional energy bank, I've got enough deposits made. They want to make a withdrawal out of it. I've already made enough deposits. If they want to draw some negative energy and they want to say, hey, Troy, this screwed up here, or this didn't happen here, or hey, Troy, the bid that you put on the house didn't go through, or the city planning, oh man, I want to talk about city planning. The city planning office says you're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, wow, they just made an emotional withdrawal out of my energy. If my energy is empty in the first thing in the morning, then I'm going to go into a negative deficit. So you've got to not major in the minors. Do a major activity first thing in the morning. Health, wealth, happiness. And then you want to surround yourself with energy first thing in the morning. Podcasting like this, masterminding like this, so that when the rest of the day hits, your bank's full, man. And end of the day don't hurt you.
I love how you use that metaphor of a bank account, because I think so many people can easily relate to that. And instead of it being financial, the idea that it's energy. And so many people are coasting through life every day, not necessarily making enough deposits or engaging with conversations or experiences or individuals that either deposit into their life, or that they're doing the necessary habits and disciplines that are depositing into that account of energy. And being that we are in this crazy society and world nowadays, there are more people and more things out there that want to withdraw than deposit. And so I think a lot of that goes back to environment and who you surround yourself with. Who are you, being that you're at the level you're at? I know you're a constant, fan of Can I, never ending. Who are you surrounding yourself with, and how are you continuing to elevate yourself every single year?
So that's a great question. Who do I surround myself with every year, and who do I try to mastermind with? I'll say this to every one of you: without a network, you have no net worth. Without a network, you have no net worth. And so you want to have a solid network. On my New Year's resolutions, what I do is I take a look and at my overall SWOT analysis. SWOT, for you that don't know what SWOT is, it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Dr. Albert Humphrey put it out in the early 70s, and it was a marketing strategy that I use personally on myself. What are my strengths from 2016 that I'm carrying over into 2017? What were my weaknesses that I need to improve? What were my weaknesses that I need to improve? By improving those weaknesses, mitigating those, and increasing my strengths, now what are my opportunities? What are my opportunities that I can attach to in 2017? Then what are my threats that are in the way? That's how I define who I pick for 2017 to be in my network. Not based on my strengths. My strengths are my relationships. My strengths are my skill sets and my core competency. Those I manage and maintain. My weaknesses need new networks that I can bring in. And I start identifying, how can you help me in my area of weakness? Can you help me get more focused? Can you help me have a higher risk tolerance? Can you help me get healthier? And so once I look at my weaknesses, my year in review from 2016, I look at how to mitigate those in 2017. And I add those masterminds to my weak areas. I've used, worked with, done business with, and been fired by our President of the United States, Donald Trump. I've worked with, met with Warren Buffett. I've worked with Mark Cuban on the Special Olympics side. I've worked with Clint Eastwood, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you name the names. I've worked with them. I've met them. I've done it. But that's not important as much as that's just cachet. It sounds cool buzzwords. You want to know where some of my weaknesses lie and some of your strengths are at? I would surround myself with you. I'd go, I don't need a Warren Buffett for that. I need a Matt for that. And guess what? He's a phone call away.
Right.
He's a phone call away. So I don't try to chase what I call the white elephants all the time and think, man, if I don't land that dude, my network sucks. Not true. They're just stepping stones. And if it's a leg up, I put my hand down. Once I get on top, I put my hand down and I boost you up. You go above me, but then what happens? Boom, we get momentum and we all just keep climbing. I never begrudge success. I'm never jealous of success, ever.
Isn't it crazy how many people are, though?
Oh, I'm fascinated. If you're jealous of success, it's because you're not doing the work, and they are.
There's something else going on internally. I see so many people hating on other people's success, and it just blows my mind. I always relate it to what you were just talking about, where there's that hand up and that hand down constantly. It's like the barrel of monkeys, right? There was always one reaching up, one reaching down, and there was always that method of the mindset behind saying, look, I'm constantly striving to go up.
Yeah.
But maybe when I'm down, I'm going to be looking for that hand up, and when I'm up, I sure as hell better be offering that hand down to that next person who's looking up too. Because at the end of the day, what I've found with all of the people that I've interviewed and been fortunate enough to mastermind with and just sharing amazing experiences with, people want to help people. They want to help people that want to help themselves though too.
Yeah.
More importantly, right? Because everybody's time is worth something, and you don't want to be investing in someone that doesn't want to invest in themselves.
That's right. And it's the laws of vulnerability. We all talk about the laws of attraction. We talk about the laws of reciprocity. The law of vulnerability is it goes against my ego, against my pride, because when I've lost something, when I made a bad business deal, when I don't know something, I tend to act like, as a younger entrepreneur, like, I don't want anybody to know that one. All's good, bro. All's good. Everything's good with me. Meanwhile, I don't even have any money in my bank account. I practice the laws of vulnerability, and I'd go, hey, I did really good over here, but I'm struggling on this one, and I don't even know why. Matt, do you think you can help me with this? The laws of vulnerability, if you are authentic and authentically put it out there, but also with the willingness to do the work that's been prescribed to you by the physician of your choice in success. So if I came to you and said, Matt, I'm struggling on this house deal. I did this, this, and this. I just elected you as my physician of success. And if you give me advice and I don't follow it, shame on me. But if you feel the laws of vulnerability kick in, you go, this kid's authentic, he's honest, he's moral, he's ethical, and he's telling me he's down and out, you have nothing else to do but give back and give your information, give your energy. Now, that's you writing me a prescription. You've written me a prescription. And if I start going, well, I can't do that. Well, I shouldn't do that. Well, what you don't know is you don't know everything. Well, why did I even come to you in the first place?
Yeah.
If we're going to elect a physician for our success, we better follow their prescription.
What the doctor ordered right there. So as we kind of come into the tail end of the interview, I want to wrap up with a few questions that I think will add a lot of value to our listeners. When you were a finalist and you were around Trump, and you've also worked with a lot of other high-minded, successful individuals, what's one of the best takeaways that you had that you really internalized, have carried along with you, and you could really allocate some great success and growth in your life because of that? And how could you share that with the individuals of the show?
Wonderful question. The best takeaway that I've had from all these men and women who have been successful in multiple areas of life, but most importantly in the three areas, health, wealth, and happiness. When I was on the finalists of Donald Trump's first season of The Apprentice, the biggest takeaway that I got from him is don't try to fit in, stand out. Don't try to, everybody tries to fit in. Everybody's following the next trend. Everybody's following the next haircut. Everybody's following the next this. Stand out. Just look at Trump's election campaign. Like him, love him, or hate him. I'm not saying that I voted for him or I didn't. I'm not saying that I like him, love him, or hate him. I am saying he stood out. He didn't try to fit in. Look at the way he did his personal branding to the way he did his personal business. Everything he did was against the flow. He stood out above the rest. And he would make a comment like, Troy, stop trying to fit in. If I'm wearing a suit, you don't have to wear a suit. Be who you are. Be authentic. With Warren Buffett, that I met him in Omaha, Nebraska, the Oracle of Omaha, man, a limited meeting. He did send a private jet and fly me to Omaha, Nebraska, but a limited meeting. I didn't spend forever with the guy. But the most important thing that I took away from that limited meeting is authenticity and his passion to be single-minded in his pursuit of expertise. So be single-minded in your pursuit of expertise until you master it. I'll go back to my buddy Peter Sutton, who tells me, everybody says they read a book. Well, really, they only read the first 3 sentences on the top of the chapter and the bottom 3 sentences. Like, oh, yeah, I read it. Well, there was a ton of content in between. And so that's what Warren Buffett talks about. Major on your single focus of mindset and pursuit of excellence in that area, and then move on to others. He majors in the stocks. He majors in turnaround and growth companies. Trump majored in branding. A lot of people say real estate. I say, no, he majored in branding. He's the most successful brand specialist that I've ever seen. So those are the takeaways that I got. The takeaway that I get from myself and that I've learned to adopt is the best way to get ahead is absolutely to give back first. And those that can't afford to listen to your podcast, those that can't afford to buy your coaching or buy my coaching, if you can't afford it, you should be the first in line.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that those people go, I can't afford that. You can't afford it, you should be the first in line. Because you're doing something that is not working. And so follow those that are. So the last thing I leave you with is a recap that I've already told you, which success leaves tracks. And follow those tracks from those people that you want to be like. And then be yourself all the way through it.
Yeah. You shared with me the 6 mottos of your organization, which I absolutely loved. And I want to make sure that those get highlighted because I share passion in exemplifying those models. What were they?
So I tell my entire staff that we have 6 mantras or 6 words that we really live by. Everything we do must be honest, moral, and ethical. Everything. You can be as creative. And by the way, we're a creative office. I have a brick and mortar office. I have 3,000 square foot. 1,500 square foot of it is wrestling mat. So we work out. We do our corporate stuff. But we're very creative. And people go, oh, well, that'll kill creativity. No, it won't. If you're honest, if you're moral and you're ethical, those are wide guidelines. And then the other 3 that I say, no matter what we do, no matter what we deliver, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, whether it's answering the phone, whether it's handling a situation that somebody's upset or somebody's positive, make sure that you inspire, uplift, and serve. So if you're honest, moral, and ethical, and you're inspiring, uplifting, and serving every single day, and you're being 1% better each day, then our culture will be so attractive to the global world at large, they can't refuse us.
You are an inspiring, uplifting, and serving mofo, my friend. I've enjoyed our time today, Troy, and I wanted to just thank you for your authenticity, your transparency, and just truly coming here to give value to those that are listening. So for anybody that wants to learn more about your organization or maybe your coaching or just following what you're up to, what is the best way for them to do that?
Thank you very much, Matt, for the honor to be on your show and the respect that you've shown me. The best way to get a hold of me is Troy, Troy, at troymclain.com. That's my email address. Or you can simply just go to troymclain.com, and I keep my updates on there. I keep my speaking events on there, where I'm traveling, where I'm going to be. And I'm loving to hear from anybody. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate the time on the show.
Right on, brother. Last question for you. If you're going to leave everybody with that one piece of advice that will increase their impact, influence, and income in 2017, what are you going to tell them?
What am I going to tell them? How to increase and make a positive impact in your health, wealth, and happiness? I'm going to tell them that the best thing you can discover is you. And once you discover that, be it all the way. Go all the way through with it. You're fourth on goal. You just got a little bit more to go. You're in between success cycles. Cross the line, baby.
Love it. Troy, appreciate you, brother. Cheers.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Well, that does it for this week's interview with Mr. Troy McClain. Hopefully you enjoyed that one as much as I did. You know, I was over here taking a bunch of notes, and I always like to reflect back on my interviews after I do them, because you never know what you're going to get from the guest. And I just left that interview pumped up, fired up, feeling motivated, and I think you can probably agree that that was a great way to kick off your day, or to take your day to that next level, whatever you're currently doing right now. But I just wanted to thank Troy for, you know, being as authentic and transparent as he was and sharing his story. And that's the whole reason I do these shows is, you know, selfishly I get to grow from it, but more importantly I get to deposit some positivity and some valuable and very tangible tools and resources that we are getting to extract directly from the source of success. And Troy was one of those individuals that lended his brain and his expertise and his experiences to us today, and there's definitely some pearls in there that I'm excited to apply in my own life. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. I'll share some of the takeaways that I had, and I'd love to hear what some of yours are, and I'm sure Troy would as well. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, be sure to do so, just so you get notified of the weekly content that we put out, all on, like we mentioned before, mindset, money, and motivation, to help you increase some area of your life that's extremely important on your wealth building journey. So as you march towards that millionaire milestone, it's great to surround yourself with positive content, positive individuals that you can grow into. I'm a big believer that we grow into the conversations that are going on around us, and I'm grateful to be one of those conversations for you today, and hopefully each and every week moving forward. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in today, and have an amazing rest of your day, your week, whatever it is that you're doing. Come back and see us in the next episode, and until then, keep investing in yourself and your wealth on your march to $1 million and beyond. Cheers, my friends.